All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Coffee Q&A. Well, not the Coffee Q&A. Welcome back to the Coffee and Cigars live stream for the Thursday night hang. How's it going? We're here every Thursday night talking coffee and talking cigars, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, so what's going on? How's everything going? How has your week been? Everything going well? We're in Baltimore again. We're still here in the garage because it's pretty brutally cold. It's like in the 20s out there. So if you're out this side smoking, let me know in the comments because I'm really curious to know who's outside. Who's crazy enough to be outside? I was out there snowing, shoveling, not shoveling, shoveling, and I finally got my snow blower running this past week. On Monday, we had the big snowstorm here, which was supposed to be like 6 to 12 inches, and we got 3.5. So it was a little bit disappointing. A little bit disappointing. They say we're gonna have snow on Saturday. They say it's an inch now, so which probably means that we're gonna get 12 because they never seem to get that right. So what's going on? Everything good? Anything interesting happening? So today we've got some coffee and we've got some cigars. The coffee today is going to be a coffee from Brazil, and this is an interesting coffee that I wanted to try today because I haven't tried it since we first roasted it. Rusty says you're getting more snow than us up here. Oh man, that's unusual, isn't it? That is pretty unusual. Mom, how are you, man? Good to see you. Good to see you again. How's everything? How's your day been? And so we got this coffee there. So Matt got a new roaster, an old 1920s era Royal Number 5. And these are old school coffee roasters that are made of cast iron. But the big difference between this and the newer ones that are cast iron roasters is that this one has a perforated drum. So there's like these long, elongated slots in the drum. So when you actually see it, if you look inside from the portal, right? The porthole, you can see down into the drum, and you can see the flame. Like you can see because it's perforated, so you can as it's moving, you can see the flame through the slots. It's like, wow, that's really pretty crazy, man. It's pretty wild. Like I've never really roasted on this kind of thing before. The mom is the man and the myth and the legend, man. Good to see you guys both, man. Good to see you both. So this roaster, we fired up. If you actually watch the Instagram, I've got an Instagram live on it where we lit the roaster on fire. And when I say we lit on fire, I mean literally it was on fire. Like it was our first time firing it up, and it's a different type of roaster. This guy refurbished it, and honestly, the guy that ordered the refurbishing, he's not very meticulous as far as like his standards. So it's kind of a wonky machine in some respects. And this thing is running at 60 revolutions per minute, which doesn't sound like a lot, but man, it is. I'm watching this thing and I was like, oh my gosh, man, this thing is like flying. Like the whole drum is like, and we have coffee in it, the coffee's flying everywhere. You're like, my God, man, what is going on with this roaster? Now, to compare, the roaster I normally use runs at about 42 revolutions per minute. So that's like that's like 50% more, right? So it's pretty fast. You're like, whoa, man, this thing is crazy. Like, I'm afraid to put something in there to try to get the coffee, to get the samples of the coffee, because is the paddles going to hit? I don't know what's going to happen, right? So we fired it up, we turned it on, we finally got it lit, and we got the gas running to it. The gas is on fire, like the gas is on full blast. I got full blast, right? Because we really just want to like get the coffee roaster seasoned. Because when you get a new roaster like this, it's old, it's been sitting around for who knows how long. There's a little bit patina of rust on the inside of the drum, so we got to get rid of that. So we were running the coffee in there like an abrasive, like you would with a walnut shells in a like a sandblasting kind of in a particle blasting thing. So we ran that and then we fired it up and then just started the rest. Because what you want is it's kind of like seasoning cast iron. Well, it is cast iron. So it's seasoning a cast iron pan. You want to get oils on it and polymerize the interior of the drum just like you would with a cast iron pan. Tony says Georgia's school was closed again today for snow removal because I think they got 10 to 12 inches. Really? Holy smokes. That's crazy. So did George come up to your shop today, Tony? I actually drove by your shop yesterday. I passed by there. I was picking up some new Festool. I found a guy online who was selling this drill. This is the Festool TXS Li 2.6 amp hour 10.8 volt battery. Now this is a tool that's like 10 years old, right? This particular tool was actually manufactured in 2015, but this dude was selling it, man. He was selling for like $75. I was like, $75? That's crazy. That's like dirt cheap. And so I reached out to him. I said, hey man, would you take 50? He's like, yeah, man, I'll take 50. I was like, oh, I'm on the way, baby. I'm on the way. So I've got this little Festool drill now. It's not the right. If I compare it to my like DeWalt 18 volt, it's not the same, right? It's not like for example, like this is my DeWalt 18 Impact, right? This is a beast of a, look at that. This, it's not the same. It's got good torque, but it's more about finesse. This is about, we're gonna bust you up with this sucker, right? But this is like, so I finally used this today to drill some holes. But yeah, that's what I got yesterday. So I was down in, he lives down in Mount Washington. He's got a workshop in Mount Washington. So I was swinging. I was driving by on the way to get my lunch at what do you call it? At Pepe's. I got some Italian cold cut sub at Pepe's. So yeah. But anyway, like I was saying, the what was I saying? Totally forgot now. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Who knows? What was I talking about? I was talking about something. All right. Moving on. We got coffee coming to you. Coffee's coming. So we got coffee and all right. So today, oh right. So the roaster's on. So we're gonna roast the coffee, right? So, but the flame is really high, and I've never used this. This is our first time firing it up, so don't really know how to control it very well. And this thing is at full blast, which it's a 25-pound roaster. We probably have 11 pounds in the drum. So if you have a roaster that's designed for 25 pounds, and you're giving it full power, and you only have 11, like it's roasting at a very high rate of speed. And this coffee was roasting really fast. And I was like, so by the time I thought, let me turn on the live stream on Instagram, we're already pretty deep into the roast. So if you look it up on my Instagram, man, I think it's pretty hilarious because like I was watching it after the fact and I was like, at the moment I thought I was fairly calm and in control, but I could see it. There's a couple moments where I was like, uh-oh, we could lose control of this roast and this could get really ugly. Right? Like I've had roaster fires before that were uncontrolled. And I was like, oh, we're in big trouble. This time we did not get to that point. I thought we might have been getting close, but we did not get to that point. But this thing is like it's roasting, it's cracking. And then suddenly it's like smoking. And then oh man, and then I was like, oh, it's gonna be when it started to smoke, I was like, oh, it's gonna ignite. Right? Because the doors are all open on the roaster. And I was like, it's going to ignite. So I looked inside the barrel, the drum, and when it was on fire, by that point I was like, oh, it just ignited. It's like, oh, here we go. And then there's moments in the video where the fire is like cascading out of the roaster, and then I closed it up to try to contain it. Then I was like, you know what? It's already on fire. There's no reason to do that. Let's just take it out and cool down the roaster. So he popped over the door. Coffee comes out. Coffee's on fire. Like it's on the floor. It's on fire. It's all crazy. It's like crazy. Rusty's asking Tony thoughts on a diet cherry Pepsi versus diet Pepsi no sugar cherry. But Tony has not had the no sugar cherry Pepsi, but he finds the sucrose ones to be too sweet. That's why I like the regular diet cherry Pepsi. You know what? When I was at Pepe's yesterday, I was While I'm talking, I should be like getting the coffee ready, right? Let me get the setup set. But when I was there, I was getting I was I always get Diet Coke, right? But I'm starting to feel like Diet Coke is getting a little bit too sweet for me. Like when I was drinking Diet Coke yesterday, I was like, it's kind of sweet. Maybe it's getting to be too much sweetness. Uh-oh. What happened to my stove? Okay. I don't know. I don't know. I should probably slow down. I mean, I actually have slowed down a lot on the Diet Coke this last couple weeks. I had a big stash of like 4 cases of it for a while, and now that's all. Now there's only one can left, and there's been one can left for like 2 weeks. So I haven't drank Diet Coke at home in a while. I'm going to put together our stove here. We've already talked about this stove. I'm not going to talk too much about it. Rusty says, I saw both at Quick Check the other day, and I got the no sugar. I should have gotten both. You should always get both so you can try them out. Devin's with us. What's going on, man? How are things down in Florida? We've had snow since the last time we saw you. Not as much as other parts of the country. Like, we've been lucky here in Baltimore. We haven't had the crazy snow. We haven't had the crazy fires. Man, a lot of people that I know in California, man, my closest friends have not been affected that much. Like some of them were, one of them did have to evacuate. The rest have not, but they've been like a little bit, a little bit nervous but another guy that I know in my union, his house burned down. Like a lot of people's houses have been burning down. It's really crazy out there, man. Devin says, it's cold. I'm in a parka triple A. I think people that live in warmer climates always like to do that. Talk about how cold it is. What's it like? 69? Rusty says, Diet Coke or Coke Zero? In Italy and most of Europe, I've heard Coke Zero is the more. Yeah, so for the most part, unless you go to places like Mexico, Coke Zero is what's really out there. Europe, mostly Coke Zero. Um, in the United States, when I'm here, I tend to favor Diet Coke. If I'm out somewhere in the world, whatever they have is fine. I'll do Coke Zero. I've never really paid attention to how close it is in flavor though, so I'm not sure. All right, our water's boiling. So today we've got this coffee. Like I said, it's so yeah. So back to the roaster, right? The roaster's on fire. We found put the fire on, and then roasted a whole nother batch. So this is the Brazil Salmo natural processed, and it's a nice coffee. But the Brazil Salmo is a solid natural processed coffee. Nothing too crazy. But I wanted to see what it would be like because this coffee, unlike the coffees roasted in my other roasters, this actually is exposed to the flame. So there could be, and there's some kind of, a little bit of smokiness to it. So I'm just wondering, is it going to come through and be apparent in the cup? So I've got the Bonavita brewer, and this Bonavita is a full immersion filtered brew. So it has this stopper. It's kind of like the Abbott Clever or the Hario switch. So basically, you put a coffee filter in, like we're going to do. We're going to fold this one over. This is just a regular Melita number 4. Put that in here. We're going to add 24 grams of coffee of the Brazil Salmo Natural. So as you can see, we just put it in there. And then basically what we're going to do is we're going to pour water on it and then wait 3 minutes and then open the valve and let it flow. So this is a really simple, it's kind of like a clean French press, but it's a real simple way to brew. I like this style of brewing, especially if I'm making breakfast and I want to have coffee with my breakfast. This is really the way that I would go. Just because it's so simple. You don't really need to do anything. You just pour the water in, wait 3 minutes, maybe set a timer, done, easy. And then you just kind of put on top of the cup, open the valve, right? There's a valve under here. So you can just kind of open that valve, right? You can see the valve opening here. Where is it? You see the valve will open like that, right? So easy. I like the easy. Devin says feels like mid to upper 30s. Wow, really? Really? Wow. That's crazy, man. Hope everyone on the West Coast is, yeah, hopefully. I mean, it's difficult. One of my friends, he's a chef out there. He's been posting to his Facebook when the fire started. He lives in Marina Del Rey, a really good friend of mine, and him and his wife, they like to go up to Palisades to just hang out, and they were planning to move to Palisades at some point. And he was like posting about how he was essentially devastated that his favorite part of LA has been wiped out. But during the fire, he was actually driving into the Palisades to try to help get people out. Like he was picking up people on the street or in front of their house and taking them away. Like one guy gave him his daughter to like go, and while he tried to stay back and fight it. And it's like, man, what craziness is this, man? Like, leave the house, man. Be with your daughter. Like, make sure you. I mean, I get it. I get it. You can't. Like, I can only imagine if my house was under threat of fire. Like, you want to stay and try to do what you can to protect it. I mean, it's difficult. It's a difficult situation. Difficult. Yeah, I called my girl today and I was like, "Hey, you all right?" She's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I'm all right." Because she lives by Dodger Stadium in Echo Park, so it's like it's not a big deal. Like it was kind of interesting that she lives in Echo Park now, and it's like, oh, Echo Park. Echo Park's really nice now. Like it's all fancy. It's all like gentrified and like hipsterish, or well, it was hipsterish. Now it's beyond hipsterish. It's more nicer now than hipsterish. But like in the '90s, when I was going there a lot, man, Echo Park was Echo Parque. It was like the barrio. So it's so interesting to see that it is different now. Okay, so we've got our waters fully heated. Now we're gonna take this and we're gonna brew it up. Let's bring this over a little bit. See if we can get to see the coffee happening. Okay, there we go. There we go. Oof. Nice. Now we're just gonna pour it in. And it's really simple. We just want to make sure that we are what is the timer now? 17:30. 17:30, 20:30. Okay, just to make sure that we get the bloom. Right, and you can see it's blooming. It's coming up. And we're just gonna let that kind of do its thing. Now, this particular one doesn't, I don't have a lid for it, so we're just gonna kind of let it, you know, just let it cool down naturally. All right, so we got about 15 seconds into it. The bloom is kind of slowed down, so we're just gonna add it. We're gonna add water to it, but we wanna make sure we break down the bloom. Some people like to stir this. I just like to pour it on top and crush the dome with the water, right? And then now we're gonna fill it to about 350 milliliters or about 14 ounces of water. That's more or less the right amount. And now we just got to wait. Now just wait. It's really super simple, super easy to do. You don't have to do too much finessing. You just kind of pour, make sure it all gets wet, and then you're good to go. So what are you guys smoking tonight? Let me know what you're smoking, what you're drinking. I'm always interested to know. Tonight's cigar is the new Maestranza from RoMa Craft Tobac. This one is the one we're actually going to smoke is the what do you call it? It is their 5x60, what they call the Castillito Murcia, or Murcia. And Castillito Murcia, I don't know what Murcia means. Castillito, I imagine, is like little castle of Murcia. I think Murcia is a place or something like that. But this particular cigar is actually one that evidently Skip was saying that he thought about making a cigar about like this back in 2015 that he was going to call the La Maestranza de Barrio Oscar Benavides. And when I saw that, I was like, when I saw that Barrio Oscar Benavides, it was like, oh, wait a minute, that's the neighborhood, the barrio that his factory's in. Because when it turns out it was really about honoring their new factory back then in 2015. They just built it. I happened to tour it in 2014 when it was still brand new. All right, we're coming up on the last minute. And as you can see, we just sit it around. We've got my cup here. We're going to get the thermal mug here. And it's really just going to be a simple process. Once it's ready, of basically just putting this on top and then opening the valve. It's nothing too crazy. You don't really have to do too much. We got our Festool cup here. We actually put this on top now. We don't even have to wait. We just put it there and wait because the valve is closed. So as long as the valve is closed, we're good to go. Tony says he's having AJ Fernandez New World Dorado Robusto. Excellent. And a Diet Great Fago. What's going on there, man? What is going on? You're kind of throwing us off here. All right, there we go. Ready? 3 minutes have gone by. Now we're just going to open the valve. And now it's just going to flow through. It's flowing through. You can see it's flowing through. I can pick it up and you see it's flowing through. And it's also coming down here. Right, there it is. It's so super easy. Like really, really. Like you don't really have to do anything. It's just kind of like you're just chilling. This is what I do. Like I set the timer for 3 minutes. And then when the timer beeps, I'm still, plating my food. And then I just open the valve, let it flow, and then by the time that I drop everything on the table, the coffee's ready, and I can have my bacon, eggs, and rice all at the same time. Or if I'm having pancakes, I can have it all ready, and everything can be hot. That's really, to me, the key is having everything hot. Like I hate to wait. It just drives me insane to wait. Like we went out to breakfast last weekend, and the girl gave me the coffee, which is fine, and then she brought her food. She's like, "Do you want some more coffee?" I was like, "Yes, yes, please," and some hot sauce. And then it took her a few minutes. I'm like, I can't eat. I can't eat until until everything's ready. It's like, hello, hurry up. Stop dilly-dallying. All right, so basically all the coffee goes down. Now this, you can see, is very coarsely ground. So we coarsely ground coffee because we have full immersion. And yeah, there we go. Now just close the valve so we can prevent any drippage. Put that aside. And as you can see, just the right amount of coffee for this 12-ounce mug, right? Simple. We can just, taste it. Let's taste it. Let's taste it. Devin's having the Avo LE. Which Avo LE are you having there, Devin? The LEO5? The LEO5, man. My God, that was good. Dave Knopf was kind enough to give me a box back in 2005. Holy crap, that was delicious. And then I was up in New Hampshire at Two Guys Cigars one day. And I was like, what are these generic cigars that you have? And he's like, and Mr. Jonathan's like, these are actually Avo Elio 5 overruns. What? For $6? I bought like 6 of them. And I don't know why I bought 6. I should have bought like as much as they possibly could get. Like I should have just maxed out my credit card at the time. That was totally a mistake on my part. Okay, so let's have a taste. Can we taste any kind of smokiness from the flames of the roasting? It's probably still a bit too hot right now. Oh, there's actually, there's a difference. There is there's a big difference. It's kind of funky, kind of freaky. There's a roasting company in Seattle, Washington. RoMa d'Italia, something like that. Italia, it's a Italian roaster. They use wood-fired coffee roasters. Like they actually put the wood in the roaster and they have to burn the wood to fire the roaster. Their coffee has this kind of smoky character to it. And there's a little bit of that smoke here. And I don't know if I like it. It's just very different. Devin says, I think this is the last run into, oh man, beautiful. You are a lucky. Do you have more? If you have more, you're a lucky man. If this is your last one, then you're still a lucky man. Just a sad man at the moment. One that will have to mourn tomorrow. Like, oh, I'm all out. When I smoked my last one, I was like, oh, I'm all out. I'm all out. I'm very sad. I'm very sad. All right, so let's go to our cigar of the day. And Tony wants to know, Devin, is it a Robusto or Figurado? So we've got our cigars here in our trusty Coffee and Cigars Humidor, Tupperdoor. Thank you, Rusty, as always. Still with the original, I mean, there are a bunch of other Bovedas, but this is the original one. Still pliable. But, there are other packets in here, so it's not. But we're still running the very first one. Here's a little bit of an interesting cigar for you. This is the Tatuai 20th anniversary. We did that last week. When it was snowing outside, I was like, I want to sit out by the fire because I built a fire, right? In the grill. I built a big like fire from some of my wood offcuts. And I said, let me just sit out here and have a cigar. I felt like a cigar. But I don't want a big cigar, right? So I took this and I cut it into like a short, petite Corona, whatever you want to call it. But man, delicious, delicious. Delicious. Rusty says it's looking empty. It is looking a little bit empty. I mean, I haven't been keeping, many cigars here, just what we're using for the show. So we've got here the La Maestranza. As you can see, it's a box pressed 5x60 Robusto kind of shape, which, it falls in line with the shape of the Revenge, so it's kind of lovely. Now, the MSRP on this is $11, but with the OTP tax here in Maryland, I got from the local cigar shop for $12.36. So it's a little bit on the pricey side. Like I would really like to see these cigars be like below $10. Like that would really a compelling reason to buy a lot. But since they're nearly $12.50, I'm not going to buy a lot. I'm just going to buy a couple. And I only bought one today for today's show. And Devin says that the LE is a Robusto. Nice, nice. But, the typical RoMa Craft intemperance size, the feel is, oh, man, it's been so long since I've had an intemperance Revenge that I feel so lonely. I feel lost now. Now that I'm holding this cigar, I feel lost. I miss it. It's like an old companion that you just haven't seen in a while. You miss. So, hopefully this will be a nice one. Tony says, so it is the LE05 from 2017. Oh, yeah, the 05. Oh, man, that 05 is so... That's an epic cigar there, Devin. An epic, epic cigar. I have not disposed of my box because it was such an epic cigar. I'm like, so lost without it. You know what, that Bee Gees song, I'm so lost without you. All right, so let's open it up and get in here. It's got this nice rosado wrapper. Now, this wrapper is, what does it say here? It's a Mexican San Andres wrapper with a Brazilian binder and fillers from the Dominican Republic. Now, does that mean that there's an Auto Piraca wrapper? Who knows? Or binder? That would, I think if they had the Rosado Mexican and the San Andres Mexican, and if they actually had the binder was Auto Piraca, I think I might be giddy. Can I smell it? There is a little bit of pungy funkness to it, which could be the Auto Piraca. Like if you ever saw the Auto Piraca, right? We were at the big central market in Sao Paulo, and they sell tobacco at this place. And what they do with the tobacco in like these markets, they sell them in ropes. Like they take the ropes and they take tobacco and they make these ropes, and then they sell it by the rope, by like the length, and you cut it, you buy it, you cut it, and then I don't know what you do with it after that. Like I think you chop it up, or I don't know, but you see they had the Auto Piraca, and I was like, oh, look at that, there's the Auto Piraca. And I should have, I don't know what was wrong with me. I didn't buy some. I should have told the guys I need to get some of that and take it home with me to try. I do regret that. Maybe I'm going to message the guys down there and ask them to go get me some next time they come to the shows. Or maybe I should just fly down there. But there is this kind of funky fragrance to the cigar. Rusty says, air supply, all out of love. Damn it, that's in my... I've actually had the Apateux, the Rosé Bruno Mars song. God, it's just been like always with me. Apateux, 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 Don't you need me like you want you, baby? Don't you need me like I need you now? Tease me like you didn't. Oh, yeah. I can't run that. I can't do that anymore. Devin says, thanks, much appreciated. Not much info came with it. Oh, it tasted like you're in an Egyptian garden at night with a flesh frog. Wow, Egyptian garden at night with a flesh frog. You should be doing a show like this, man. Like that is a great description. I have no idea what that means. Egyptian garden at night, like that. But it sounds kind of awesome. only because I've never been to Egypt. So Tony says it was one of my favorites as well. Both the original version and the new ones we had, man. They both were great. Both were great. Oh, God. Well, anyway, let's have. There is a funky pungency to it. So when they say Brazilian binder, it does make me wonder: is there Arapiraca under this wrapper? But can we see any kind of like? I think the Arapiraca is really kind of dark. Do you see anything dark there on the binder? Can you see that? I can't see anything. I don't see. I don't know if I'm seeing anything. But let's look at the coloration. Coloration's kind of here. Okay, good. I do like the pungency. It's pungent. It's kind of florally as well. Actually, it's kind of nice. And almost like a flat cap on it. Almost, but not quite. Let's cut the cap. Not bad cut. Not bad cut. All right, now some cold drawing. Oh, they're a little bit sweet, a little bit crispy, a little bit of darkness, maybe a little bit of licorice, black licorice, not red, but very light in the licorice part. But very nice. Oh, that's. Oh. Okay, let's evaluate this. Cold draw, very nice, very good. Fragrance, very good. I'm gonna say very good, very good. 8.5. So let's do the light now. Tony says, Devin, I still have 2 boxes of those and 2 of the 27s as well. Oh my gosh, man, that's craziness. That's craziness. Okay, we got our lighter. La Maestranza. Good body. It does have a familiar darkness. That kind of like maybe that Autoparaca darkness. Darker, a little bit heavy, but not like biting. Just these few puffs, there's already a layer. Look at that. Crazy. Mm. Starting off nice. Like, I'm going to venture to say that maybe this Brazil binder is the Autoparaca because there's something very familiar to me about this cigar. Something very familiar, something very comfortable. Tiffin says, I really love this cigar. Smoke one, but keep aging them. I say it's a cigar more for the company than for yourself because the cigar has a wonderful wood note, rich mahogany. For the company, we will fly down and share with you. That would be a good reason to go to Florida. And I'm hard pressed to find reasons to go to Florida. So LEO5 with Devin, okay, that's worth the trip. So my initial thought on this cigar right now is that my initial thought is very positive. It's I'm gonna think maybe this is the, let's see what the notes say here. Fillers from the Dominican Republic, Honduras, and Nicaragua. So Dominican fillers are added to it. That's going to be a relatively new thing, I think, for RoMa, at least for the lineup. I wanted to say something like, I was going to say something like maybe this could be like the Intemperance Revenge, but kind of with a different jacket. Tony says, you should have checked out the Copper Cafe or Citanos for lunch when you were in Mount Washington. Porchetta from Citanos and Cubano with yuca fries. Ooh, I was not aware of that, but now that I know, I will try to keep that in mind the next time I'm down there. Thank you. Devin says, it's my last one. Oh, man. I know. So sad. So sad. It's all right. It's all right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are very many flavors, or the experience of smoking this cigar is very, to me, it's very satisfying in a similar way to the Revenge. So I'm really, these first few puffs, I'm really liking it. Really. Craig's with us. Hey, y'all, just taking a break from moving. Hope everyone's well. It's a little too cold for cigars here. It's 16 degrees. I hear you, man. I hear you. How is the move coming? Not finished yet? Man, you still like physically moving? You're like Brian. Brian took like 2 months to move his house. Well, no worries. We look forward to the point where you can light up one of your well-aged Cubans and join us for a night of cigaring. That'll be always good. But 16, yeah, 16 is tough. Hey, by the way, I hear that you guys are going to be annexed by America next month. I think it is. That's what they said. I think the plan is just to take over all of North America and Greenland. Just take it over, make it all one. And what's going on with your? Oh, it'll take me closer to 4 miles. Oh my! Oh my. And what's going on with Trudeau? I haven't really heard too much about it. I just saw a blurb yesterday. They were like, Trudeau's going to resign. Like, I thought people liked him up there. What happened? And Panama. Oh yeah, we're taking over Panama too. We're just going to take it over. It'll just be United States, or maybe we're going to change the name too. Change the name. Something more golden. Hmm. We can change the name. There's a great name. Pan Am. Pan Am. The country of Pan. Not country. Wouldn't be a country anymore. It would be the Exactlies of Pan Am. We could have the women wear red with white hats. I think it could be quite an epic new world. So I did mention that it's kind of Intemperance Revenge-esque, but now I'm getting a little more spice. It's a little more spicy than the Revenge. Similar characteristics, but more. I'm feeling more spice on the back of the throat. Craig says he wasn't going to win the next election, which has to happen this year. We don't have terminalists, but people get tired of leaders after 3 terms. I hear you. I hear you. I mean, I just know girls think he's sexy. That's really all that I know. I don't really know much about him. I think the question is like, if we were to annex you, Canada, would they allow you to keep the bacon? or would we end up having, or would we need to indoctrinate you into being American, more American by, changing the bacon? These are important considerations for us to remain a cohesive nation, or Pan Am. So good smoke production, good resistance. There's actually, it's when we're doing a cold draw, a lot of free flowing, right? But then when you light it, there's a little bit of resistance, not bad resistance, but just good resistance. Like it's, yeah. The real question is whether or not we have to drop the UN. Absolutely. Like once Canada becomes Pan Am, once we all join to become Pan Am, it will no longer be part of the Commonwealth. And that silliness of like the British talking, those people that don't know how to speak real English. And the only real English is the American English, the greatest English on the planet. Just be like, hi, hi, hi. Ketchup chips and McD's will have poutine. You know what? Speaking of ketchup chips, man, ketchup chips was once the domain of Canada. We used to have to go to Toronto and smuggle them back across the border. I forgot the brand. It's been a long time. But now here in America, Wegmans has ketchup chips, and they're pretty darn good. But of course, we know what happened, right? Next year, the new powers will develop a time travel machine. And the reason that Canada has ketchup chips, right, which ketchup is an American thing, right, because these guys will go back in time to like 1960s, and they will give the Canadians ketchup chips. I think that's what I was being told. I was being told. I think I saw that. Devin says switching to Fahrenheit will still be difficult for Native Americans. Oh, for Americans. Or you mean like how kind of Americans? Not high, not Heil, but how? Or do you mean the Heil type of Americans? There's this one guy on YouTube, right? Like most of what I do for woodworking is metric, right? Because metric's just infinitely easier. Like it's simple, right? But there's this one guy, and I don't know what he's from Alabama, so I guess that explains it. But every time he makes a video, he talks and he brings up something about imperial and metric. He's just like, I'm not into metric. I'm like, who cares, dude? Is this the hill you want to die on or fight about? Like, who gives a shit if you want to use metric for or imperial over metric? Like, can you just make your project, man? Stuff. I don't get it. Craig wants to know, but do you have all dress chips? No. We're naked here, man. We like naked. We like to get naked here. The only way we can become the greatest country again is to be naked. We need to be naked. Actually, I have no idea what all dress means. It's that English. It's that weird English you guys are speaking because that Commonwealth thing. I think. Devin says for the previous Americans, I didn't mean. Oh, gotcha. Oh no. I think if when we take over, we're not going to go to like metric. We're going to make everybody go back to imperial. We're going to make everyone use imperial because imperial is like the only true. It's God. It's Jesus. It's the measurement that Jesus used in his time. And remember, Jesus was a carpenter. Jesus was a woodworker. So he used imperial. He didn't use metric. Devin says, "Whoa, In and Out has out." Oh yeah, man. You just got to do that on the what do you call it, on the secret menu. You just got to tell them when you go there. Tell them, I need the animal fries, please. Have you had their fries, Devin? You know, as much as I like In-N-Out overall, their fries are pretty disappointing. Like everybody's like, "Oh, it's awesome," but the fries that's their weak spot because here's what they do. The problem with In-N-Out, they take the potato and it's nice because they do everything fresh. They do it all the kids are there, all nicely dressed. They're all working really hard, and they take the potato, they slice it, and then they deep fry it, and that's it. And then they serve it to you, and you're like, this fry is not properly cooked. Like there's no like intermediate frying to fluff up the interior and cook the interior through first and then fry it later after it cools down because then you get the right texture and the fluffiness that we love in French fries. These guys just go one flight. You're like, what are you doing, man? So you've got these kind of like cardboardy fries that are nice and hot and kind of fried. So you're like, oh, this is awesome. But it's not really. After you've had it for a while, you're like, okay, this is not so awesome. The burgers are solid, but and they're fast. Like these guys, like you go to In-N-Out, like they are flying. They have so much customers. But man, like I remember one time we were there, and they do a numbering system, 1 to 100, right? And I think our number was like 30, or yeah, 30 or something like that. But the number they were serving at the moment was like 89. We're like, oh my God, man, how long is it going to take? Like within 10 minutes, we were done. I was like, oh man, we got our food already. All right, excellent. So they're really good. Like In-N-Out's sharp. They're sharp. Craig says, all dressed chips have a combination of ketchup, barbecue, sour cream, and onion, and salt and vinegar. Whoa, whoa. See, you guys are so American, you just don't know it yet. That's all. Because America does things like that. We put it all together. And Craig says that the second Chick-fil-A just opened in Ottawa. Hundreds of people in I heard that if you're like one of the very first people that go to a new Chick-fil-A, you get like free food for a year. So I hear people camp out for like a long time before they open to get that position. People are crazy about Chick-fil-A. I used to go to Chick-fil-A every morning. Right? When I was opening the shop at like 7 in the morning, I would go there because it was the only place open at 6 o'clock. So I would go there almost every morning and get like the chicken sandwich with hash browns and a iced tea, unsweetened tea, every morning. At one point, I had 25,000 points in their program. Like I never spent the points. I'm very bad at spending points. Like I don't spend the points, but I was like, I got all these points. What am I going to do with these points? So every once in a while now I go to eat at Chick-fil-A and I eat for free. And I still have 18,000 points. But I'm losing value because the longer it takes me to use them, the more the program gets devalued because the more it costs in points to get a chicken sandwich. So it's like I really should be eating there like every day. Rusty says, if it brings in more Tim Hortons here, I'm off. Man, I haven't had Tim Hortons in a while. How is the coffee at Tim Hortons there? You guys like it? We should do a drive we should drive to New York and go to, I was actually thinking about going to Ticonderoga. These crazy dudes in Ticonderoga, why? I mean, I guess they live there, so this is why they did it, but they have this thing called the Star Trek experience where these cats have built like a couple decks of the original series Enterprise. And you can go there on the weekends and like check it out. And I was like, I would like to go check that out. Devin says, I lived in LA for a minute. I wish the fries were crunchier. I agree. A double fry would be great. Like I wish they did it, but they just don't take the time to do that. And I get it. I mean, that's how they built their reputation was on this style of fries. But it's like when you know fries, it's not as fulfilling. It's just not as fulfilling. Devin says, I look forward to your bagels, Craig. Bagels? You mean in Ottawa? Are there good bagels in Ottawa? Craig says, new Chick-fil-A, 100 community heroes chosen by the manager get 50. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow, oh, it's 100 people. That's pretty good. Do you know the manager? Can you get chosen? I would like to be chosen, to be the chosen one. Craig says that Tim Hortons has changed since they started roasting their own coffee a few years back. But is it a good change or a bad change? Okay, so I'm liking this cigar quite a lot. On an enjoyment level, on a pleasure scale, on a fulfillment level, I'm really enjoying it. Like at this point in time, I can see myself smoking a lot more of these. However, if we're thinking qualitatively, I think it's very good. Very good. Solidly very good. In many respects, it hits me like the Revenge. But the Revenge was never one of the highest scored cigars we ever did. Like it was always kind of like solidly scored. I think the one year we did it, we get 86. So very good. Qualitatively not excellent though. Doesn't have that delicateness. It's not that like melange of flavors coming together with a symphony of like all kinds of stuff. Like the Mirfell or the My Father 20th anniversary. It's not like that. This is more like right now it feels like very guttural, like this is soul. Like those are beautiful cigars. Pleasurably beautiful. Objectively beautiful. This is like guttural. Steven says, "What's going on, man? If you're out there, bro." Oh yeah, I don't know. We have not seen your brother yet. Maybe Tony knows where he is. Devin says, "I don't know about Ottawa, but I hear Toronto." Oh really? Toronto? I didn't know that. I mostly hear, but when people talk about Canada bagels, I mostly about Montreal. Evidently, Montreal has the water bagel. They have some special bagel, like they do something special with the water. And I remember I went and had bagels when I was in Montreal, but it's been over 10 years since I've been to Montreal, so I don't really remember anymore. And I don't know if it's really something that was, to me, struck me as like super amazing because I don't remember it. But not to say they're bad. I'm just saying, just Craig says not a good change. Still a light roast, not Nordic light. The old blend, which you can still buy in supermarkets, just not labeled Tim Hortons, is a Colombian with some Kenyan for a bit of acidity. Oh, okay. And Craig says that Montreal bagels are the king. Oh man, I need to go try some. I need to go back and try some. Maybe if I go to Ticonderoga, I can like make it swing up to Montreal for some bagels. Because the bagels that I think are like the bagels that are on my mind right now, that I think are the stellar bagels, is the one from Teaneck Road Bagels in Teaneck, New Jersey. Like those bagels are like fire. Those are like, oh my God, like crispy, chewy, like the perfection. It's like bagel perfection. Like I've never had the bagels this good. And I've had a lot of the ones in New York City, and I'm like, this is something else. Like I was just thinking about that today. I was like, I would like to go back. Like there's part of me that wants to just drive there for the bagels. Because we have bagel shops here in Baltimore because we have a big Jewish population. So Ash getting along, I'm gonna knock it down. So I usually get bagels from this one place called Goldberg's. And I've always thought those were like solid bagels. But after I had the T-neck, I went and got me some Goldberg's. And usually I go and buy like a dozen, right? Buy a dozen mix, put them in the freezer, and then, heat them up and eat them as I need. I hate to say it, but those Goldbergs no longer suffice. it's really distress. It's really distressing. Craig says that, however, there are some good Toronto bagel shops. Maybe we'll go explore those too. I have a lady friend to go visit in Toronto, so. Tony says that Steven is too cold for his outdoor heater, so he may have joined our friends at the local lounge. Oh, you're not down at the local lounge? I thought you'd be there with the boys. But if Brian usually checks in if he's with us. He hasn't checked in today, so I don't think he's out smoking tonight. All right, so I think it's a good time now to score. I think solid, like heavier, like medium plus, not heavy, but medium plus. And I'm going to say 8.75. No, I think 8.5, 8.5, flavor 8.5. Oh, Tony is at Cafe Bud. Okay. Well, what lounge would he have gone to then? What local lounge? Is there another lounge? The smoke is there. Oh, at Davidas, really? Who went to Davidas tonight? Some of our crew there. Well, the coffee is still actually the coffee is a little bit more enjoyable now. I think we're getting to the groove with the coffee. But definitely there's a little bit of maybe a light smokiness to that coffee. Scott and Eric went, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay. I haven't seen my messages all night long. Well, no, I messaged my friend down in LA, but that's all. She's the only one I talked to tonight. So I'm working on this little cart here, right? You can kind of see it. This is supposed to be like a little tool caddy. There's this guy named Rich O Woodwork on YouTube, and he made one out of like 3/4 inch like Baltic birch plywood, but I don't really have much plywood, so I just have like this pallet wood here. So I've been like milling it. So I've been making it out of this. It's a lot more difficult to make this way because now you have to get all these pieces and assemble it and make a frame. But the idea is to have like, a top part where you put all your hand tools or whatever you're working with, and then you can have like shelves to like put your like whatever sander you might be using or something like that. And it's got wheels on it. It's coming along, but it's this light color here because I was thinking, that, as I've been building these things, I want to do like different approaches to finishes, trying different finishes, different things. And I was curious about how these people do guitars, right? The sunburst effect on the guitars. Now, it's really narrow here, but like I was trying to use some of their technique using dyes. And there's a little bit of the effect, right? There's a little bit yellow and blue, but it's not terribly successful. And I think part of it has to do because this is oak, so it's kind of dark, it's kind of reddish, so it doesn't really show through as well. But I was assembling it, and there's a top shelf to it. As I was dry fitting it, the top shelf fell off, and now these shelves, these layers are like milled lumber that are jointed together. And they always say that the glue line is stronger than the grain. So when this piece fell off and hit the floor, it broke. There are 3 pieces of wood on this. It broke on the grain. Look at that. I was like, oh God. And the reason that this panel is supposed to be the top shelf is because it had the most beautiful of the joints. Like these joints are, you can't really, it's hard to see. Like here, look at this, right? There's the joint here. That's really nice and tight and clean. This is the other joint right here. Nice and tight and clean. Now, when I reassemble this and glue it together, there's going to be this crack here. I'm just going to glue it on the raw edge, right? Because it should just kind of fit together. But now it's not going to be pretty. And I'm like, ah. And I can't really like cut it off because, well, it has to be a certain depth, and then it'll be if I trim it down to get a clean edge on both sides, then it's going to be too short. So, c'est la vie on that. C'est la vie. Craig says, oops, without the link, Toronto Grife's Bagel Bakery. Ooh, amazing for flaxseed bagels. Does that mean that there's flax seeds on top of the bagels? Or is it flaxseed flour to make the bagel? Either way is interesting for me to try. Like, I could go. It'd be nice to go visit some people up there. Oh yeah, I definitely am having good enjoyment of this cigar. Flax seeds in the bagels. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Okay, okay. I like that. I like that. Flax seeds in the bagel. So what has been happening in your guys' world? Anything interesting? So crazy. Why does it take 4 months? Is it just like you just move a little bit and move a little bit more? Or you have to like redo the new interior and then you have to wait, and you do and move it a little bit, redo it. Hmm. If you're doing drywall work though, I just got an email today, a message, not an email, but a message that Festool makes this Planex, this big like 250 millimeter sander that they use for like drywall and like ceiling drywall to sand it. They're coming out with a special for the sander and like the what do they have? They have the sander and the vacuum for like I think it's going to be like it's supposed to be a good deal. I just don't recall what it was. I'll look it up. I'll look it up again. Oh, I'm taking 4 months because I hear you on that. I hear you on that. Craig says they have lots of good varieties. Go early in the morning because they sell out. Oh, wow. Really? By 10 a.m.? Okay. Grife's Bagels. Grife or Griff's? Grife? I'll write that down. Oh, no. Damn it. Okay, let's see here. In case you're interested. So they have the Festool Planex with with the vacuum and the abrasive set of abrasives for $2,000. Now I know that's a lot of money, but in the world of that Planex, man, that's pretty darn good deal, I think. Hmm. But if you already have the vac, they have a Planex with the abrasives for $1,300. Oh, that's kind of tempting. Don't know what I would do with that. Like if I would only be using like the sand tables or something. Big old 250 millimeter sander. What would I do with that? Be crazy. All right, this is some solid smoking right here. This is some solid smoking. Let's see what else they say about it. So they say that this darker rosado wrapper from that the Mexican on San Andres is what they used to call the what's it called? The Spanish market selection. Like you know how they had the English market selection, American market selection. This was a Spanish market selection. I don't know what that meant or why they call it. Maybe the Spanish liked a little bit more of a reddish colored wrapper. But the idea of the La Maestranza is supposed to be an honor, a name that's given in honor of the team that they have at Nicasueño at the factory. Because you know they're really big on the whole like taking care of their working force, their staff, and making sure that they're well cared for and giving respect to them. And so I think that's a nice touch. But evidently, this cigar will only now be sold in the United States because there's some kind of trademark issue with the Maestranza. Somebody else outside of the United States sells a cigar, I think, called the Maestranza. Craig says that Spanish market selection was a Cuban. I think so. I think so. I mean, I don't think in America or like these markets they're necessarily worried about that. But I think that's more of a marketing point for people. I mean, it doesn't look terribly like when I think of Rosado, and my default, because it was my first Rosado, is the Fuente, right? Those Fuente Rosados. From what I recall, the Fuente Rosado is much lighter wrapper than this. Is like more along the lines of Maduro to my eye. So I'm not sure. I'm wondering now if Raul got some of these. Because I could go for more. I could go for more of these. Like I haven't smoked a lot of cigars lately, and I think it's because I've run out of Revenges. When I had the Revenges, I'm like puffing all the time. I haven't been doing that lately. Not to the extent that I had been. Tony says it could also be, or it would be a Colorado Claro under the old U.S. naming convention. Ah, yes, that does make sense. It is getting a little bit thick. I think I need to open the blast doors. At least for a few minutes. And sadly, I noticed that my fan is starting to give up the ghost on it. It's having a harder time starting. I mean, the thing is probably 30 years old. I probably should take it apart and clean out the motor. Make sure that it's nice and lubricated. So we had the snow this week, and I finally got this old Craftsman snowblower to use. This is a snowblower that one of our uncles had. I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but one of our uncles had it, and he was like, he wanted to get rid of it. So my brother was like, we'll take it. So he's like, hey, can we go pick up this snowblower? This is like 3-4 years ago. I was like, sure, let's go pick it up. So we picked it up at his house. The uncle lives like in Reisterstown, right? This is my brother still had his workshop, his automotive repair place in Owings Mills. So I was like, we picked it up. And I'm like, we got to drive back. We got to drive past his shop. So I was like, should we take this to your shop? He's like, no, 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 just take it back to the house. And I was like, what? Take it back to the house. And I knew already, if it comes to the house, it'll never get fixed, right? It'll never get running, right? And he's like, no, 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 I'll just stay in there. Fast forward to last winter, never got touched, never. And I was like, what the hell, right? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this sucker running in case it starts to snow. So I found a dude who does home repair, right? He'll come to your house and fix all of your like lawn equipment. So I called him up. I was like, hey man, can you come to my house? He's like, yeah, yeah, I'll come on Monday. 2 weeks from now. Right? Okay. That Monday was the day that it snowed. So he calls me Monday morning. He's like, I won't be able to make it today. I was like, I know, I figured. So he came the next day after we had plowed. He fixes the snowblower. And I was like, oh, awesome. It works excellent. And he's like, yeah, now that I fixed it, there probably won't be any snow. And I was like, I know. No snow. No snow the rest of the year. We had one snow last year, and that was it. So finally, the snow came. I got it out there, and I'm snow blowing. I always had this fantasy of snowblowers to be like this really like awesome thing where you're just like plowing through the snow. No, it's not like that at all. It's like, it's kind of difficult. Like this thing, the one of the tires is not quite inflated well, like it's off the bead, like it broke the bead, so it doesn't stay fully. You have to fill it, so it's always pulling to the left, and I'm like, oh god. So you're always pulling to the right. It's like, oh man, this is not fun. So finally I was just like, I'm just gonna call the landscaping guy and have him come and do the rest of the driveway. I was like, come and do the rest of it. But we only had 3 inches, 3.5 inches. I was like, oh come on. But it's good. I got it to work. It's fun to use. I felt all manly. We're going to have more snow on Saturday, but it's supposedly it's only be an inch. So it's like an inch is and the way that the skids are set up, right? Like they're like, when you shovel, like you scrape it on the bottom, and so you get all of it. I like to get it all clean, but this one leaves just like maybe half an inch of snow, which just irritates me. So I have to go back over the parts that I really want to clean and like. But I guess half an inch of like plowing by shoveling by hand is certainly better than having to do all of it. So I'm not complaining, but it's just like, oh. It's not the snow clearing utopia that I was expecting. I mean, I'm plowing through the cigar. Like it's only, we're an hour and 15 minutes into the show, and I'm almost finished. And which also reminds me that it's time to do our second. And I think it's very consistent, still very good, like very, very good. So 8.5s in both categories, which brings our total running score to 42.5 out of 100. Yeah, I'm surprised George Shem hasn't come and joined us tonight. But I guess it's a little bit too cold for him to be outside. Like it's pretty brutal. I've got the infrared heater right here, just out of camera, because it's just like keeping me warm. But now that the blast doors are open, this side of me is starting to get a little bit chilly. But he says, adjust the shoes on each side and it'll be clear to the pavement. I know. I realized that after I had started, and then it was all like snow encrusted, and I was just like, I'm not gonna get on my knees and like try to like fumble with the bolts to do. I was like, forget it. I'm too lazy for that kind of thing. I'll just wait till summertime and I can like lift it up and like work on it then. It'll be ready for 2026. But yeah, this so far, man, if you like the Revenge, the Intemperance, or the Intemperance line of cigars, I think you'll find this to be a very enjoyable cigar to go. If that's the kind of flavor profile that you enjoy, I think this will hit those marks for you. Because I am powering this cigar. I'm like, I'm powering it. And I'm smoking it greedily, like without any reservation, without any like concern of looking like a glutton. Yes, the seven deadly sins, totally. So what else been happening in the world? Did you guys see the Ravens? Ravens are now into the postseason. Evidently, we're playing the Steelers. There's no game tonight, right? Thursday night? There's no game Thursday night. Is there football? Oh yeah, just the weekend. Now we're back to weekend games. Yes, Saturday night we play the Steelers, which I don't understand. Like it's they call it the wild card round. Like and I don't know. I haven't paid that close attention, but I thought the fact that we won the last couple games meant that the Ravens were number one in our division. I thought the number one team goes forward without. I guess we're not. I mean, obviously not because we don't have a bye week. But I also think that's a good thing because I find that with the Ravens, historically, the only times that we've won the Super Bowl or have we've only gone twice and we've won both. But the only time we go to the Super Bowl is when we have to play all four games at the postseason. We have to have that battle in order to get like when we win the division and we have the week bye. I think that's when we collapse. I think that was happened last season, right? We collapsed. I was like, oh man. Ravens have to like dig and claw their way. Like when we were I was at the last game in 2013 when we won the Super Bowl that year. And I remember back then I used to have season tickets, right? It was in the lower bowl, end zone, Ravens side. And I remember I'm sitting there and I was like super pumped. I was super like hyped about the team at the time. And I was super confident. I was like, we're gonna win. We're gonna go all the way this time. I said to my seatmates, the other PSL holders, I was like, hey man, mark my words, 4 more games. They're like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. I said, no. 4 more games. We're totally going all the way. And that's the year we did. And I was like, all right, excellent. I don't necessarily have that level of confidence because I haven't been watching as much, but I'm hopeful. But this year, I think we've beaten the Steelers twice. In the 2 times we faced them, I think we beat them both times. So how crushing it would be to lose to them now. I remember it was 2010, I think it was. We were all I think we were all at the hookah lounge having cigars. Again, same kind of scenario, Ravens versus Steelers. And this was at the zenith of like our hatred for Steelers, like hatred. It's not rivalry, it's outright hatred, right? You just want to crush all of Pittsburgh. They're playing. It's close. And then finally, at the very last second of the game, field goal Steelers. Oh, mother, that was like crushing. It was a crushing loss. It was like crushing. Still today, I feel that the bitter taste of defeat. 15 years later, it's like, oh, crushing. Craig says that the spread is negative 9.5 for the Ravens. That's a bad thing, right? Negative 9.5 for the Ravens. But you know what? Everybody's always down on Ravens. Like I remember the year we won, right? So we won technically in 2013, but it was a 2012 season. I remember December of 2012. I'm all hyped about Ravens. I'm all hyped. I'm like, I need to go get me some more gear. So I went to the like sporting goods store, the Sports Authority, and I'm looking at their Ravens stuff. And these women are there, right? And they're like talking amongst themselves, and they're like, they were all down on our quarterback then, Flacco. They're like, he's not going to make it. This is terrible. We're not doing well. We're going to lose. I'm like, what is going on here, man? Baltimore is so like negative. We're so negative. We're so negative. You know, and beginning of December 2012, everybody's down on Joe Flacco. Everybody. But he pulled through, man. He pulled through. Oh, it's a good thing. Okay, okay. I don't know about that then. That actually makes me nervous. I'm used to an era of Ravens fandom where nobody thinks the Ravens are going to win. Like nobody thinks they're all like, we're going to lose. They're going to lose. And I think that's why the NFL during the Super Bowl that year killed the power, because Ravens are beating the pants off the 49ers. Pants off of them. They're like losing like badly. So what does the NFL do? And plus the NFL probably gets better revenue with a Ravens loss. So they try to turn things around by killing the power. Like this is the Superdome, right? The Mercedes-Benz Superdome or whatever they call it in New Orleans. This is the biggest game. This is the biggest game on the planet. Yeah. I know there's the FIFA, right? I know that, but this is the biggest game on the planet. This is why Make America Great Again exists, right? Because it's the biggest game on the planet. And you're going to tell me that they're going to have power problems on the most important game of the year? No way. I totally am, that's intentional. They were trying to cause us, they were trying to pitch the game against us, and they gave this 49ers a little bit of an edge. 49ers started to rally a little bit because I was in Manila watching the game, 6:30 on a Monday morning, and we're at this bar, and there's four of us that are Ravens fans. Four of us, not three, four. We're sitting at the bar, surrounded by all these like people who are 49ers fans. And I was like, man, what is going on here? How did we become like the lone people in this entire, there's like 300 people in this bar. And we're the only four people that are Ravens fans. And, you know, they're all dejected, you know, and these like West Coast Filipinos, man. Then they started to like do a little bit of rallying, right? And then they start talking shit. They're like talking so much shit. I mean, they're still down by like 20 points and they're still like, oh yeah, Ravens suck and blah, 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 blah. I was like, you guys need to shut the hell up. You guys are going to lose this mother, right? Finally, they lost. And then they're all dejected. I was like, yeah, that's right. That's right, bitches. Y'all lost. 49ers, West Coast, East Coast. That's what it's about. The Ravens have to blow out the Steelers for you to get money if you bet on the Ravens. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't do that anymore, man. I don't do that anymore. We got into trouble some years ago. Actually, I didn't get in trouble. My cousin got in trouble. My cousin got in like deep trouble. Like, I think he was like 25 large in the hole to his bookie. I was like, dude, you're crazy. And I remember like, this was like maybe 2008. He's betting on the Ravens. He's betting on the Ravens and betting. Sometimes he wins, sometimes he loses. And he kind of got me sucked in, like $100 a game. And I was like, all right, I'll bet. And then I remember one time we're working, we're doing some stuff. It's game time. Right? We're at my friend's workshop. He was a Land Rover repair guy, so we're working on our vehicles at his shop. My cousin comes over. He's like, dude, why aren't you watching the game? I'm like, dude, I don't watch the game when I have money on the game. He's like, why not, man? You got money on the game. It's important. I was like, yeah, because I don't enjoy it anymore. Like, if I'm just watching the game, I'm having a great time. But if I got money and I got a spread to cover, I'm just like tense the whole time. Like, if we're not making a spread, I'm just like freaked out, right? Because I'm like, hey, it's $100, but you could make a decent amount of money back. I told him, man, I just want to know, do I collect or do I pay? That's all I care about at that point. I was like, I don't want to know anything else. You just tell me, I'll wait 4 hours, and then it's time to know. So I'm a terrible gambler. I'm terrible at gambling. So I stopped doing that. He got in for 25 large. I was like, oh, man, I'm glad I didn't owe any money. I was like, thank God. Because he bet like every game. And then when he lost, he doubled down. I was like, dude, are you crazy? Just pay the guy. Pay the guy the couple $100 you're into it for him now and get it over with. Oh, no, man, I could turn it around. It's like, oh, God. That's how they get you, man. That's how they get you with the gambling. And then that same year, 2013, I had a girlfriend in Mexico City back then. So I went down to go visit her. It was the weekend that the Ravens were playing the Denver Broncos. And one of my friends, she was having a party, and she's like, "Hey, come to my brother's birthday party. It's on Sunday." I was like, "All right, I'll come to your brother's birthday party." She's like, "My whole family be there, right?" So I go there, and I'm thinking, "Oh man, I'm gonna have to watch the game like in the kitchen or something," because I'm figuring this is Mexico, right? These people are all about football, not football, but football, right? It's gonna be all soccer. I get there, and I was shocked. Like this big Mexican family, like multi-generation Mexicans, are all rabid American football fans, and they're rabid like Broncos fans. I'm like, again, I'm in another situation where I'm like surrounded by enemy fans. I'm like, oh my gosh, man, this is terrible. Luckily, one of their cousins is actually a Ravens fan, so his family of four, and me are Ravens people. So I'm like, oh, we're totally surrounded. Even the grandmother, the abuelita, is like a rabid like Broncos fan. She's like, Los Broncos. I was like, whoa, Los Broncos, crazy. So when I don't know if you remember this one, but like they're kind of behind, they're kind of struggling, and Flacco makes this bomb of a pass to Jacoby Jones, and he catches it and gets a touchdown. Well, I was like, oh my gosh, man, this is amazing. I was like, this is amazing. This is what we need. Good times, good times, good times. But I had to give that up because, man, you go to the games, it just takes all day long. Like, it's just not. Like, if I go to the game, like, if the game's at like 1 o'clock, you get up at like 6, get ready around 7, 8 o'clock. You're heading down to the stadium because you want to be there by 9 to do tailgating with everybody, right? So you go to do your tailgating. Games at 1. They play until 4. You take the light rail back. You're home at 6:30, and you're like, the whole day is done. You're just totally wasting. Like, I've had enough of this. So I was like, oh man, it's just too much. It's got to be too. It's too much. Respect to those guys that have been doing it since 1996, but man, I can't do it that much. Jared, oh, George is with us finally. Good evening, all. I'm headed outside. Oh, no. Wondering what I'm thinking, but here we go. Lighting up with my father, La Antiquidad and Suburban. Excellent, excellent. I heard you had more snow down in Laurel than we did up here. Is that right? So you were out of you had no school today as well? And then Brian says, what do I put in YouTube in order to pull this up on my TV? Ono Live, yes. Ono Live is on the TV. The channel name is Ono Live. Although you might have one of those nicer TVs where you can, I think there's a way now with like modern, like smart TVs that you can just kind of swipe it. Bud knows how to do that. I think Bud does it at his house. Swipe it or something and send it to the television. But that year that we won the Super Bowl, there was a lot of things that happened that I thought that really gave me the confidence at this time of the year that we were going to go all the way. Like when we played the San Diego Chargers, they kept mucking things up. It's like third down or fourth down. It's desperate times. And they kept getting penalties and pushed back or whatever, or sacked or something. And they're 29 yards from the first down. And it's like, that's an impossible situation, right? So impossible situation. So there goes the snap, and there goes Flacco, and he passes to Ray Rice, and somehow, by some crazy miracle, Ray Rice is able to like dodge all these people and make the first down. It was like, oh my gosh, what kind of craziness is this? So that's part of the reason why that year I was like, we're gonna go all the way, David. We're going all the way. George says we've had 10 inches, been out all week. Wow. 2-hour delay tomorrow. Oh. So when you guys have a delay, what does that mean for you personally? Like you're an administrator, so do you go in your normal time and just kind of hang out and prepare, or do you also get 2 hours to go in later? All right, it's time to close the blast doors. because the cold is now starting to singe my neck. Let's see a little bit better now. At least the coffee's still warm. So those who are just joining us, we're smoking the La Maestranza Castillito Murcia, the 6x50 box press Robusto from RoMa Craft. And it's been hella good. Very good score-wise, but hella good pleasure-wise. Like I've been telling the guys, this strikes me in a way that's very reminiscent of the Intemperance Revenge. And I think partially because this is a Mexican sun-grown rosado wrapper from San Andres, but it has and they just say Brazil, but it's a Brazil binder. And I'm guessing that it's probably the Arapiraca wrapper. I mean, unless Skip went out and bought other wrappers from Brazil, or other leaf. George says, we go in 1 hour before students arrive, read emails, see the challenges the day will present. I refuse to rush in the morning. Gotcha. But when you're 2 hours late, and I don't really recall this too, but I remember I think when we were young, when I was still in school, and we go in 2 hours late, and you're trying to get, 8 classes in a day? And if your classes are 45 minutes long and you're 2 hours delayed, so your classes are only 20 minutes long now. I mean, is it even worth it to go in at a delay of 2 hours? Or is it that they do that because you have to record so many days of class education in order to fulfill the yearly requirements? Because it's 180 days, is that correct? 180 days a year? I thought that's what I'd heard somewhere along the way. And how are you combating the cold? Like, it is brutally cold. Like, it's so cold that our resident Canadian won't even go outside. He's like, I'm not going outside. Y'all are crazy. 180 days is mandatory by the state. Gotcha. I heard that somewhere along the way, and I was like, wow, and I guess it's always been like that, 180 days, but I never thought of it, because we had the summers off and we had the winter, a little bit of a winter break, and then the kind of Easter break or spring break. I never really thought that we were there for 6 months. I always thought it was I guess maybe I thought it was 9 months. I don't know. I just remember I was surprised when I read that or heard about that. So what's been happening in the world? Anything interesting happening in the world? Evidently, the Supreme Court has refused to hear Trump's hush money sentencing. But I don't understand. Okay, they convicted the guy, sure, okay. But he got elected. So what are you going to do? What kind of sentence can you give the guy that's going to the White House? Put him in jail? I don't understand that. And can't he just pardon himself when on January 20th, can't he just be like, okay, I'm president now, pardon? George says, outside, no heater with layers. Oh, nice. Early this week seemed worse than tonight. Okay. Yeah, today, I was out earlier today, and it was cold, but it wasn't, and it was windy, but it did seem at certain points a little bit more bearable. He's going to appeal, no doubt. Yeah, but I mean, like, even if they convict him, I mean, we're not, no. Even if they give him a sentence of some stuff, some kind. Like, let's say I mean, I can't imagine, but even if they give him jail, right? Okay. So he goes to jail. So let's say they give him a sentence of, they give him a whatever, sentence of jail and immediate jailing, right? Send him to prison right away. He still becomes president on the 20th, right? Or is it because he's in jail, he can't do the oath of office? And if that's the case, does that mean Vance takes the presidency? Do you really want Vance to be president? It's like, oh God, that's a crazy thing. I would have liked to have Pence. Like, Pence seemed a little bit more like principled. And if Vance becomes president, will he still plan the invasion of Greenland and Canada? This is the questions that I'm getting. This is what I'm curious to know. Craig says he can't pardon state offenses. He can still be president. Oh, okay. See, the Canadian guy knows more than we do. It's terrible. Rusty says for us, if we have a 2-hour delay, we start at 9:30. I'm usually there at 8 a.m. anyway, so I get work done. Okay, gotcha. I mean, that's nice. You got more time to like chill and prepare for your day. But like in your case, Rusty, you've got like a plan, and especially if you have like lab time for the day. Like, does that mean you just cancel the lab if your class schedule is that heavily reduced for the day? George says the cigar shop lounge earlier today was wonderful. Ah, nice. Which lounge did you head to today? And Jimmy Carter's heading back to Georgia. Actually, I was thinking I wanted to go down and go check it out, but man, it's just too cold to be going anywhere. I was like, I'm not going no place. Because what if there's a line? I'm not prepared to stand outside the U.S. Capitol in a line in the 20-degree weather. I'm like, oh no, oh no. Oh, you did go there. Okay. So George did go up to Mount Washington. I was asking Tony earlier if you came on up there. Rusty says our school only has 4 classes a day, so 88-minute classes. Okay. Well, is that normal? 4? That seems. I could have sworn that when I was in high school, we had a lot more than 4 classes a day. Although, not that I would remember. I mean, we're talking 40 years now. I have no idea. Does any of you guys remember when we were in high school? Like, did we have 4 classes a day? 180 in New Jersey, 185 for faculty and staff. Ah, okay. And you guys were faculty and staff. Like, I realize you only work 6 months out of the year, but do they spread out your salaries? Oh no, I think that's why I think you said that they did. You said that in the past that you don't get salary during the summer times, right? Like you don't get paid staggered salary for the year. You get only when you're actually in school. Is that correct? So it looks like that Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck are finally divorced. Perhaps I still have my chance. Not with Ben, but with Jennifer. George says 192 days for Maryland teachers, and we get paid over 12 months. Oh, okay. That's nice. That's a little bit better because then you don't have to like. You can have steady income throughout the year. That seems like a lot better. And you're what, George? You're in Prince George's County schools, is that correct? Or Montgomery? Oh, here's something from CNBC. Let's see what they say here on this. This sounds interesting. It says that international airfare is falling this year over last, while domestic U.S. tickets are more expensive. No. Long haul trips are cheaper than last year. So if you want to travel outside the U.S., that this year should be a good time. Flights between U.S. and Asia are down 11% over last year, averaging 1,087. Oh, that's good because that's kind of where we were before the pandemic. Oh, PG County. Okay, gotcha. Flights to South America are roughly 685. So if you want to go to Brazil, that's a good thing. But Mexico, Central America are up. So if you want to visit Nicaragua, it's a little bit up, 9%, $469. But U.S. domestic tickets are on the rise. Oh. Maybe there won't be a trip to Vegas this year. So evidently that Billy Crystal, Paris Hilton, and Eugene Levy have been among those who've lost houses in Pacific Palisades. What else they saying here in the world that's happening? Oh, and those guys at the aircraft, the astronauts are still stuck on the station. I don't think they'll come back till April now. Rusty says, if we lose time because of delayed opening, I may cancel the lab depending on what it is. Ah, okay. So with 2 hours, if you normally have 88 minutes, with a 2 hour delay, how much does that actually reduce it? Does it just become an hour or 45 minutes? Or how much time does that really cause? I guess if it's 88 minutes, divide that by 4. It's 4. So you lose what, 22 minutes? Well, maybe half the time, 45 minutes. Okay. So this cigar is still very nice. It's getting a little bit heavier now that we're towards the very end, but still quite enjoyable. Very good. Still very good. Well, evidently China is going to Mars, which means that NASA is now 4 years behind China. I think with the new nation, we should probably invade China. Because now if we can annex Canada and Greenland. So Canada, you've got what, 20 million people? Greenland has just shy of 40,000, so we can have 2.004 million, 20.004 million people added to the 334. So we have 300, nearly, let's say 360 million, the 360 million people in this new unified nation of ours. I think we can invade. 36 million in Canada. So 36 million. We have 334. I looked it up yesterday, 334 million. So we will have 370 million people. And there's only like there's 1.44 billion people in India. And India has the most population of any nation on the planet currently. I think there's 1.3 billion in China. I think with 370 million, we can invade. I mean, they don't really have any aircraft carriers. They've got that Liaoning, like that Russian style, like ramp ridiculousness that doesn't really work. I think we can invade. I think we should invade. We should invade. We can make cheaper products then. So the cigar getting a little bit hotter, but that's because we're getting towards the end. I was watching this video from this girl that I follow in Japan. She does food videos, right? She's like, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but she was talking about this one place she goes to that does what they call one coin meals, one coin lunch. And in Japan, they have a coin, a 500 yen coin, and it's a 500 yen meal. So you go there and you get a beverage like a hot tea, and you get like 8 pieces of sushi, and you get some miso soup for 500 yen. And I was like, that's a great deal. That's a great deal. And I looked it up. I was like, how much is 500 yen in US dollars? And it was $3.17. And I was like, $3.17, you get a solid meal. Like, I don't think I can buy miso soup here in the United States for $3. I think we need to invade them too. We have the greatest military on the planet. We should just invade. Craig says that Biden just banned medical debt from credit reporting. Oh. Do Americans want Canadian Medicare? No, no, no. We don't want socialism. We want Americanism. We can't have socialist stuff. Like, can you imagine a world where can you imagine like if the government just gave free healthcare to people? Like if we have a pandemic again, like if this bird flu starts again, can you imagine if the government just gave everybody vaccines? That would be stupid. So this class has dropped to 60 minutes. Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, we don't want that, Craig. We want to be in poverty because of our healthcare. It's our American way. We want you to have that same thing. So the cigar almost down, man. So definitely a little bit bitter, a little bit hotter, but I've also been pounding on this pretty hard. And here's interesting, like I have been smoking this with good vigor throughout the entire time for about the last nearly an hour and a half. And here's the interesting thing, like when I smoke Revenges, there's something about the Revenge that whenever I light it, I always get this weird burn, like it burns unevenly. And I tend to end up struggling, but this one has burned very evenly, very consistently throughout the cigar. So it's in that respect, it certainly has performed better than the average intemperate Revenge that I've smoked. So far, this has been quite solid. Question is, can I make this last another 10 minutes? One thing that I'm curious, I don't remember. I was trying to think, how is our scoring going this year? Like last week, we had the Tatuai 20th anniversary, which was fairly nice. It scored itself an 85 points, so I'm wondering where this is going to end up. I'm going to guess somewhere close to that. Devin says it's not the size, it's how you use it. Absolutely. And we know how to use it, baby. That's one thing. That's one thing about America. We know how to use it. We can wield it and use it. We don't need the numbers. George says, no, it does not last 5. By the way, why are you joining us so late? Like usually you're here with us early on. What were you doing this evening that that makes you start such a late hour? Yeah, it might not last the 5 minutes. Like, yeah, I don't think it's gonna last. Like I thought about trying to stretch it, but I've been like, oh no, I've just been enjoying this quite a lot. Once we're finished here, I'm going to have to do the glue up on this board that I have. See if I can make it look nice again. Rusty says, I think the question to ask is what countries do we not want to invade? Is there a country we don't want to invade? Can you imagine? Here's the thing. So like, if we invade and take over all these other countries, especially maybe the ones that are less developed, then we get cheaper labor. So, and we don't have to move production anymore. Now we just take over and nationalize all those countries that have in their factories, so we can now make everything in the country. Like I said earlier, we shouldn't call it United States, we should call it Pan Am. I think Pan Am is a good name for it. We can then have cheap labor, cheap products, and Walmart can still be our go-to supplier for our daily household needs. This is what I'm going to promote over the next year. Invasion. Because, we haven't had a solid war in a few years now. Like, we've had 4 years of pretty much chilling. We've been chilling in the war. We haven't really been flexing our military muscle. And, we need to expand our arsenal, right? Because defense contractors need to, like, make more weapons. So we need to expend those weapons. George says, I will get back to the regular routine next week when my schedule is back to normal. Ah, gotcha. You want Mexico because we can after to rename the Gulf of no, the Gulf of Pan Am. Gulf of Pan Am. Oh man, it's starting to burn my fingers now. When you don't work, it throws everything off. Oh, I hear you, man. I do hear you, man. Okay, you're right. We're not gonna make it to 5 minutes because that's burning my fingers now. Oh, and totally Rusty agrees with you there, George. All right, let's look at our scoring here. I think we've been very good. I think we're very good the whole way around. 8.5, 8.5 body, 8.5 for flavor, which gives us another 17. So 17. 52.5. Burn and draw. Burn and draw has been, I would have to say, very consistent. We've had no burn issues. Draw has been, I would say excellent. I'm going to say 9 for that. Very consistent. So I'm going to say 9 for consistency. So that gives us 18. Okay, that can't be right. That's not right. That can't be right. Let me recalculate this. 1734. Oh yeah, see, I was off. I was off. Okay, so now overall, now I'm just gonna say overall is very good. 8.5. There you go, 86. 86 points. So just slightly better than the Tatuai 20th anniversary, which gives this La Maestranza Castillito Murcia the number one position. Well, only two cigars. So, but a nice start for our year. There it is. Easy peasy, easy peasy. But don't worry, George, we're not going to ban you for at least another 4 minutes. By the way, which bourbon are you having tonight? But he says we should open something on the pegboard. Oh. What would you like me to open on the pegboard? You can choose, and I will open and share with you my loot. Let me know what you'd like. Let me know. Something red. Okay, something red. Let's see. Something red. Oh, okay. Well, that's easy enough. There's only really one red thing here. There's this ruler. This is a ruler. What they call a triangle. What do they call this? A triangle ruler? Hex scale. Hex scale. This is by a company called Woodpeckers. And in this woodworking thing, Woodpeckers is kind of like the darling of measuring devices. American made, very precise as far as measurements and consistency of measurements from item to item. And this is their hex scale. And what it is, this one is, how long is this? This is 300 millimeters, which is 20, more or less 24 inches. Yeah, more or less 24 inches. And the interesting thing about this, while it has this stop that you can measure things off. I don't really use it because it doesn't feel as precise as it could be. But this thing has 3 sides. Remember like the triangle rules we had in school? Very similar to that. And so on this side, and they're doubled, right? So on this side and here are the same measurements. This particular side is in inches, imperial. This side here is in metric, right? Metric. And then this side is centering. So if you look closely here, I don't know if you can see that too well, but right there is the 0. And then you can measure out from this 0, you measure out either way. So you kind of if you have something that's, I don't know, 24 inches wide, you look for the measurement for 12 and 12. And then as you pull it along, you can find the center point. And it's on this side, it's both imperial and metric. I tend to only use the metric. And actually, I use these. I have another one that's short, like 6 inches. I use these quite a lot because these have metric. At the Woodcraft, they sell a lot more of the different Woodpeckers products, but they're all imperial. So I'm like, oh, I don't need any of that. But they're pretty nice. They're pretty nice, I do recommend them, but they are kind of pricey. Like these, I bought these on sale because I'm cheap. But the problem is that they're aluminum, right? So the shorter one that I have, the 6-inch one, I dropped, and it kind of put a little dent on the corner, so it pushed it in by like a millimeter or two. So it's like, I do think that something like Sterret is probably better. Like this is kind of sexy looking, like with the red anodized aluminum and the white lettering. And the Sterrets are black lettering on stainless steel. so they're not as sexy. But I think that the Starretts are better because they're stainless, and if you drop the stainless, it's a lot more, yeah, it's a lot more robust in that respect. So you really kind of have to be careful with these. They have a longer one that's like 900 millimeters. It's like, or maybe it's just 600 millimeters. It's much longer. I was thinking about getting one of those, but because sometimes I find that I do need longer than this. So, but it's not bad. It's not bad. So yeah, hex scale by woodpeckers. All right. I guess that's pretty much it for today. 86 points for the RoMa Craft La Maestranza Castillito Murcia box press 6x60 Robusto. Very good. Actually, very good. Actually, really, really enjoyable. Very pleasurable along the lines of the Intemperance Revenge. So, one that I really like. Not necessarily the highest scoring cigar we've had, but definitely very good, very enjoyable. Highly recommend it. And I guess that's it for this week. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. Always good to have you on the Thursday Night Hang. So we're back again next Thursday, 8 p.m. with more of the Coffee and Cigars live stream. Yeah, there it is. What else did I tell you? I don't know. All right, then. I got to go and clean up and glue some more wood, glue this board that I broke. Thank you, Mom. Always good to see you. George, Bud, Stephen, Brian, everyone else. Craig, Mom, always good to see you guys. Have a wonderful day, and back again next week. And see you then. Oh, there it is.